is there like something that like is obviously will be the end of this regime, but no one is willing, capable, or I don't know, want to do like something that is their lifeline, something that is like be too much to do or whatever. And yeah, that's it.
Oh, those are really good questions. Okay, so I'll give you one example of what you could do with special operations, and it's not the only one. And I think after I leave, Jeffrey could go and talk about some other options that they could do. But one thing that has been discussed a lot is, for example, and I'm not saying they're going to do this, there are multiple other options, but one of them is taking over Khark Island. If taking over Khark Island means that the Islamic Republic right now uses Khark Island to basically export more around 90% of its oil. So by just taking over that island, you're going to, I know there are other places that you could do so as well, but they don't have the same capacity as Khark Island. So if you take over that island, you're basically going to completely suffocate the Islamic Republic. You know, right now the Islamic Republic, to be able to continue doing whatever it's doing, to resist, it needs their revenue, oil and gas revenue, to fund its war machine. And if you take Khark Island and they can't do that anymore, you will bring them to their knees. The problem with that though is that if you put boots on the ground, some special operations in Khark Island, and you hold that island, then you don't have the same defense system that you might have had in your US bases. So there's going to be missiles and drones coming at American soldiers. So it's one thing to take the island, but it's another thing to hold the island, given that the Islamic Republic will be bombing the American soldiers on the island. Drones and missiles might go them so there, and it's going to be hard to protect the American soldiers. So there are other things that people are talking about regarding taking out the uranium. Mark Levin was advocating for that, doing special ops. I don't know how possible that is. That seems like the most risky thing the American soldiers could do. It seems very difficult. Taking it is might be easy. Holding it is very difficult. And Jeffrey later could take talk about um, each the and also we might not even do this. Like we might like there might be these military ground forces have been brought to the area, maybe to scare the Islamic Republic or just to increase options that President Trump has, but maybe they won't use them at all. But those are some examples, and you guys could talk about the details later. The infrastructure, how that's going to help end the regime. um, well, again, a lot of this infrastructure is used by the regime to build its missiles, to build its drones, to move its forces. A lot of factories, the power is needed, the roads are needed, the electricity is needed. So we have a lot of missile cities that are under mountains that not even bunker busters could reach. But all the pieces that make the missiles or drones are made outside of these missile cities. And if you destroy enough of the infrastructure, their missiles, the equipment required to build the missiles in these missile cities will not be coming anymore to the missile cities. I mean, and also if you damage the economy of the Islamic Republic enough, they're not going to be able to pay their forces. They're not going to be able to pay for their mercenaries. So again, the whole point is to economically suffocate the Islamic Republic so that it can't continue to pay for the cost of resisting the Americans and Israelis. So there's that. One thing that many people are not talking about, and it's an option, is like the nuclear option for us. And it might be very messy and very chaotic, is to arm the Iranian people. And if we get to the point where we see that this is not happening, like the Islamic Republic is continuing to resist, even though we took out 95% of their forces, but they somehow, with that 5%, they continue to stay in power. Then at that point, then like this is an option that we have not we tried not to use for many different reasons. This is a very dangerous option that might cause a lot of bloodbath and a lot of chaos. But at some point, if nothing, we see that there's no other way, then the option of arming the Iranian people is going to be considered a lot. And again, this goes back to your first question, because one thing you could do with special military forces without invading the whole country, is to just liberate one or two cities in southern Iran and just use that as a base of operations for Iranian people to come to, get armed, get trained, and then unleash them upon the rest of the country. So you could do that.